Oh, this is a little harder. This is a little bit harder. Okay, there's two ways to think about this, what's going on here. We can think of a negative as the opposite. So I could take the opposite of each of these terms. The opposite of negative 3y is 3y. And the opposite of 6 is negative 6. Then I'll just subtract y because that was unrelated to what we just did. The other thing you could do with that, I'll just rewrite it up here, is realize that this is negative 1 multiplied by negative 3y plus 6. And when you distribute that negative 1 to both terms, negative 1 times negative 3y, and negative times negative is a positive 3y. And negative 1 times positive 6 would be negative 6. Now, before I start moving y's from one side of the equation to the other, I'm going to combine these like terms right here on the left side, because 3y minus y is 2y. When I'm subtracting y, I'm subtracting 1y, so I'm left with 2y plus negative 6, or minus 6, both would be equivalent, equals 5y plus 12. I have fewer y's on the left side, so I'm going to choose to subtract 2y from the left side. I subtract 2y from the right side because of the property of equality. And I'm left with negative 6 on the left side of the equation equals 3y plus 12 on the right side of the equation. I'm trying to isolate the variable. So first I need to isolate the variable term by removing the constant term, subtracting 12 from both sides of the equation. Negative 6 minus 12 is negative 18. 12 minus 12 is 0. That's why we did it. Additive inverse. When you add opposites, you get a sum of 0. I have 3y, but I want 1y, so I divide both sides by 3. This quotient is negative 6. So I believe y equals negative 6. But I say I believe because there's so much going on this one. I definitely need to check it. See if I can squeeze this all in, which is probably not the best way to do it. I'm going to substitute negative 6 carefully because there's lots of stuff going on with these negatives. Plus 6 minus, here's where we have to be careful. I'm subtracting y, but y is negative 6. Equals 5 times negative 6 plus 12. Alright. Negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18. Plus 6. If I'm subtracting negative 6, that's the same as adding positive 6. Remember, subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. 5 multiplied by negative 6 is negative 30 plus 12. So I have the opposite of 24 plus positive 6 should be equal to negative 30 plus 12 is negative 18. And the opposite of 24 is negative 24. And if I add 6 to negative 24, I do in fact get negative 18. So I've convinced myself that I identified the correct variable value. Y is negative 6.